All right. Good evening or good morning. Welcome to the show. This is Psycho Silver. My name is Jerome. I do hope that you're counting your wealth in ounces today. Very important. It's never been more important. Ounces might be all that's even left in the end. I do also hope that you're holding your word to yourself. I have an interesting show for us today. My shows get too long. I find so many things that are just so interesting and I want to show you everything and it ends up too much. Super long shows. I'm going to make it a little shorter today and really just give you the best of the best of the best. So we have about 3 interesting charts from Twitter. I have like 2 interesting tweets. And I've also made 3 custom charts to share with you. And the 3 charts that I made, you'll find out really quickly, but I'll also explain really fast. There's 3 charts that I made. I kind of put them into a format for you, make them easy to understand. And I want to remind you why silver is such an interesting opportunity. These charts you can show somebody and hopefully they would understand like why it's such a big opportunity. The biggest reasons, the most important reasons, the things that it's not always completely obvious why silver. And that's why we need to do a little research and look a little deeper. And once you see this information that I'm about to give you, you're going to understand more of the full story. And you're either going to be reaffirmed in your conviction or you're going to help educate someone that might come to you about information for silver, friends or family. We're not trying to get anyone to go all in on silver, even though that's what I'm doing. I'm all in, but no one has to be all in. But everyone should have some physical silver. And I'm going to show you some of the best reasons why. So why don't we just jump into Twitter real quick and I'll show you the most interesting news we have. Really quickly, I just want to bring you up to date. I'm sure most of you know this, but just in case you don't, we had a huge day. It was a very big day in the price of silver, up 7.6%. That's super big. And everything was pretty much up today. Gold was up. All the metals were up. Let's have a look at the equities real quick, just so we're covering ourselves until we get into the heart of the information. Yes, equities also with the strong day. Dow up 400, S&P up 50, 1.26%. Okay, strong day all the way around. One of the biggest days in silver though. All right, we're gonna have a look at Michael's Twitter over here real quick. We want to know, what is the COMEX doing today? He writes, COMEX silver vaults add over 1 million ounces. So they added today. Interesting. Totals back above 300 million. Boo. Registered silver was unchanged. Open interest now equals 232% of all vaulted silver and 1,998% of registered silver. And that to me might be the most important statistic at all. We're still basically at 2,000%. And you do see down here the registered silver is still under 35 million ounces left. And I'll just give you a little context. 35 million ounces is less than what the U.S. mines all year. All mines combined, I believe it's only 32 million ounces. We did see India this year, just this year alone. India, very hungry for silver, imported 300 million ounces of silver this year. So this 34 million ounces left on the COMEX is not at all insurmountable. In fact, we have projections saying that they're probably going to, at the rate that the silver is being drained out of the COMEX, we will see the silver completely out by sometime around March or February if we stay going at the same pace. But the speculation is if we get under the 30 million ounces, they're going to have really big problems just from that alone. And that's if they actually have the 30 million. We don't necessarily trust them either, do we? I wanted to bring to you this very important chart about gold. This is from Dow equals Gold 1. And he writes, as fun as it was in the precious metals today, gold is only backtesting the underside of its secular bull trend line. Gold needs to continue its upward move to negate the historic breakdown. And I do hope you can see that here. Here we have the trend line going across the bottom here. And we actually did fall underneath that trend line. And so even with the great move today, it's pretty small, please forgive me. But even with that great move today, we only came up to the underside of that trend line. So the trend line's still broken. But an asset can break the trend line all the time, and that doesn't mean anything until it never makes it back. And then you're like, okay, well, that's where things really change. But they've certainly regained the trend line many times before, and that's a really long bull market there. And we do have one excellent chartist. I know this, North Star Charts here. He's letting Dow equals gold know that his trend line might be possibly placed a little differently. And then if that was the case, then it would be a pivot line and we're actually intact with the trend. Quite possible. And we definitely have to care about gold a lot, because where gold goes, silver tends to follow. Here's an interesting tweet from VBL's Ghost. He writes, PSA, what is a short squeeze? It involves the lack of availability of the underlying asset at any price. Whether it be stocks or short sales or silver for delivery, a rally is not a short squeeze. Squeezes are catastrophic in nature. Short squeezes frequently break products. I think that's super helpful and interesting information. And I did want to show you this Apple chart. This is from Xtrend. He writes, now repeat after me, 1098. And I do see here we have another really long-term trend line here that Apple is touching, resting upon, very close to breaking this really long-term trend line. And Apple is one of the equities, especially on the tech side, that is holding on. We had Facebook, we had Google, we did have Amazon, all breaking very, very long upward trends and losing their moving averages. And here we have, by way of example, this is a Tesla chart. And Tesla is also at a really, really critical juncture. This last trend line here is the 700-day trend line. And that's a really long moving average. So if it loses that, it's lost every trend line or every moving average possible. And he writes here, this is a disaster below this line for growth stocks. Tesla losing its 700-day moving average. Big deal. And just a reminder, this is from Dave Brady. He writes, central banks are quietly buying gold at the fastest pace in 55 years. We're saying this on almost every show now, but it needs to be said on just about every single show. We can't overlook that, not for 1 second. Ponzi Finance writes, the more central banks control the stonk matrix, I mean the stock market, the more they control you, the less freedom you have. They determine the winners and the losers. They inflate and deflate prices. They decide if you're poor or rich. They bend puppet politicians and populists to their will. It's a form of economic subjugation. Well said. No more needs to be added upon that, in my opinion. And the last interesting tweet I have for you today is from Dylan McClare. He writes, however pessimistic I've been about the conditions of 2022, let's be clear. Mathematically, there is no solution to the global debt burden except currency debasement. Bitcoin is an engineering solution purpose built for an age where trust is lost in monetary authorities. So every statement he made there is true. Those are all true statements. Bitcoin is an engineering solution built for an age where there is no more trust in monetary authorities. That's true. I don't know if it's a solution, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not the solution. The solution's been here for a long time. Solution's gold and silver, especially silver. He adds on to that. It's literally just math. It's unbelievable that so many remain unaware as to what's unfolding. Global debt burden is unserviceable. It's a Ponzi in the most pure sense. He's writing truth here. Meanwhile, an absolutely scarce, decentralized digital asset is monetizing in real time. My big disagreement there is a digital asset can never be scarce, not long term. The whole point of digital everything is so great because it makes all things abundant. And I always joke, everyone's going to have a hot digital girlfriend once we get into the VR world. Nothing can be truly scarce. Bitcoin is based on technology, and you cannot make money a technology any more than you already have, because there's always going to be a better technology come along. Everyone wants to make money, and you have the best developers in the world. They're not going to go to work for Bitcoin. They're going to go to work to beat Bitcoin. And therefore, you'll basically have an infinite amount of digital currencies all competing with Bitcoin. And I believe many of them ultimately will be much better. And so we'll never land on one digital currency because the next one will always be better than the last. And that is why we need a real world asset. We can build a digital currency upon a real world asset, and that would be a better solution than to build something purely digital. That's this guy, Dylan McClare, is making great points. Well written, very smart guy. He probably said it better than I could say it, but I just disagree with that. But and this is why I love following the Bitcoin community. It was the Bitcoin community that brought me to silver. And a lot of the Bitcoin communities were younger guys that taught me about scarcity, taught me about money and central banking. But it was the older dudes. It was the guys that have been studying sound money for a long time, like Ron Paul, that really gave me my education about money and got me to think about especially silver. It doesn't necessarily have to be silver, but silver is just the best thing that there is. That's the thing of it. He does write, oh, I didn't see this. He had one more reply here. He writes, if Bitcoin didn't exist, I'd be hoarding gold, food, and bullets. Somebody tell this man about silver. Too bad, no one brought up silver. Should I do it? I'll do it real quick. I'll just write silver. All right, we're already at 15 minutes. See how fast it can get away from me? I love talking about this stuff. I fucking love it. But let's get on to the original charts that I made for us here. All right, here we have silver's asset market cap. Is it rising to the top? So there's this website, I believe that it's called marketcap8.com. And what they do is they take market caps of the top assets and they rank them in terms of their value. They rank these different assets in terms of their value. And so before I show you what I'm going to show you, people do make the argument that it's not a perfect comparison because it's not like we're taking all the oil together and giving it an asset market cap, or we're not taking all the copper mines in the world and giving that an asset market cap. But the point of this chart, what it does do for you, is it gives you some context about how much silver there is in the world and how much value it actually has. And so you see here that silver is ranked 5th in comparison to the biggest corporations in terms of market cap. And you see gold up there way on the top, 11 trillion estimated value in gold. It could be a lot more, it could be a lot less. I don't know. We do have a much better idea of how much these big businesses are worth because that's all reported in terms of amount of shares and the price, but it's a little tougher to decipher how much of a commodity there actually is and who has it and how much is in the ground. There's a lot to it. But you do see here that silver is ranked 5th at just over 1 trillion. So 5th at over 1 trillion puts it 4 spots higher than it was just a couple weeks ago. It was all the way down at 9th, or I even think 10th. What was on here was Bitcoin. They were ranking Bitcoin, and I do believe Bitcoin made it all the way to 6th or 7th on this chart, well over $1 trillion market cap at its peak. But first we had the fall of Bitcoin way down, and now Alphabet, which is Google, Amazon, Tesla, all taking big hits on their stock price, and they fell down to 6, 7, and 8 on this, and silver up to the 5th. And we did look at the only chart that we haven't looked on this is you have Apple, which is worth more than double silver going by these numbers, and also Microsoft. And we haven't looked at the Microsoft one, but it's very possible that you could see silver even rising much higher. But here's my main point about this is that silver is not some obscure thing. Silver is money. It's been money through the entirety, what do they say? Time immemorial. It's been money throughout the entire history of human civilization. And it would be so easy. What's not on here is how many dollars and dollar derivatives. And we do know it's so big that that's also just estimated. It could be 2 quadrillion. It could be 1 quadrillion. It's an unfathomable amount. And a quadrillion is 1,000 trillions, right? It's tough to even comprehend that number. But the point being is I could see easily, because there's more silver in the world, silver's supposed to be the money for people. Gold is supposed to be the money for banks, institutions, and the ultra wealthy. And I do believe that gold is also undervalued. I could easily see gold with the 100 trillion market cap. That would probably be realistic because you have all these dollars that are sucking the value out of the world and bringing that value into dollars. But way more of that belongs to gold, and way more of that, in my opinion, belongs in silver. It's money. It's the safest money. It's the oldest money. It's going to be money again. It's going to get revalued. I don't think that nations and banks are super interested in making silver money forever, because then they lose their ability to create money out of thin air. And they're serious about giving us the CBDCs. We will have a central bank digital currency. But the thing is a lot of people aren't going to trust it. And I do believe many nations, including our own, are going to need silver and gold as a bridge to the next system. And we will likely see the trust broken in many other assets. So there will be flight to gold and silver, and it will be revalued. I don't think it'll ever get to its fair price where it will actually capture the wealth of the world and hold it and be used as money, unless we move to some sort of much better system where it really is. You want to talk about equality and fairness and sound money and justice? Well, it starts in the money, but these nations they're never going to do it. But I would look for silver to probably be revalued at 50 times more than it is right here. And does it stay there? Probably not. But that's why I'm holding for the long term, because like the tweet we just saw from that gentleman, Dylan, it is a mathematical certainty that the world currencies are going to fail at some point. And silver is the best candidate to capture so much of that wealth. A lot of it can go to crypto too, don't get me wrong. But I like silver. I like it for a lot of reasons. It's anonymous. It's safe. You're never going to you can get robbed, but it'd be a lot, in my opinion, it's much tougher to take someone's silver than it is their cryptocurrency. And we see that all the time. I think this is an excellent chart and an excellent explanation. You tell me what you think. I think that's very valuable information right there. All right, on to the next excellent chart I have for you. We did have silver with a big day today, up 7.5 points. Big day in silver. But this chart is about the real price of silver. I've tried to tell friends and family about silver. Of course, I don't expect them to do what I'm doing. And I would never want someone to be as crazy as me and go all in like I have. But I think everyone should have some ounces, like I'm always saying. And one of the common things that I hear is that it feels as though the price of silver is going nowhere. It looks like it's going nowhere when you're only looking at spot prices. But when you look a little deeper and you look at what people are actually paying, you can see, here, I'm in the way a little bit. You can see from this chart, we're in a really clear uptrend in actual prices. And these are percentage basis, and this is not small. It started out with 10 and 14%. I was buying silver all the way since, I would say, 2016, 2015. Well, long before that, but like a little more seriously. And the premiums were so low. They were so low. It was less than 10%. And I was getting junk silver, US constitutional silver, for less than spot, 50 cents under spot. And that was the first silver to run out. And now you're paying $11, $12, $13 over spot if you want $0.50 for the constitutional silver. It was being sold under the melt value at one point. That was crazy. I wish I would have bought way more of that stuff when I could have. But here you see, really clear upwards trend. We touched at 34. And this is just for your generic silver. This isn't for Silver Eagles. Silver Eagles are up to a 100% premium. And people are trying to say that the price is doing nothing. It's not true. Only if you're looking at the spot price. The actual price for physical silver in your hand, the price is going up steadily. Do I need to say more about that? It's just a trick. It is the silver psyop. It is the dark psychology of money. This is the game that they're playing on you to make you believe that there's nothing interesting going on here, when all the actions in silver, they're doing one thing with one hand, and the hand you can't see, the hand you can't see, they're doing something else with that. And that is they themselves are buying up all the gold and all the silver. And by they, I mean the market makers, I mean the central bankers, I mean the ultra wealthy, I mean politicians in the know. You better believe it. How was that chart? I think that was just excellent. All right, last chart of the day. I wrote here, silver looks like it's dead versus the stock market, but it's just loads of stored up potential. I'm in the way again. Let's come over here this time. This is Alan Greenspan. I make bubbles so that I can blow them up. silver will return to the mean or the median or higher. And it will be at some point. It won't seem like it at the time because everyone's going to hate stocks when it finally gets there. But it's going to be a great trade into stocks at some point. We're probably ways out. And stocks are going to be so hated by the time we get there. It's going to be such a miserable investment that no one's going to want to do it. But that'll be exactly that same way that silver seems like it's a miserable investment. It's going nowhere right now. It's the best investment. And eventually we will be with the shoe on the other foot, and no one's going to understand why you would ever buy stocks, and that would be the time to buy them. And I do believe that we can. I gave you this yellow arrow here where I think is a reasonable amount, and so this is 0.006, and to get to 0.06 would be a 10x move. And I do believe we'll go probably to a 15x move, but we could easily, this could easily be a 30x move. Do we go all the way past? Let me get my highlighter on. Do we go all the way past this tippy top right here? Maybe, but I wouldn't stand by saying that. Someone that I didn't know, I wouldn't tell them, hey, you can expect this. But I think it's totally possible that we go much higher than that. But as a general rule, I think it's really safe to say that we end up somewhere right here. That's a 15x move, and that's not in the price. That is in its value versus the S&P. So that could be a 30, 40, 50x move in the price if the S&P is also going up at the same time. It's all relative. Okay, this is against the S&P. I did just notice that you couldn't really see the top of this. I apologize. I'll do better next time, I promise. But I did read it to you. It looks like silver's dead versus the stock market, but it's just loads of potential. Store it up. I'll need to figure out a new way to make sure you can see this next time. And I do hope that is helpful. You can tell a friend about this. You can show easily any of these last three charts. There's 3 pieces of critical, tangible, inarguable, concrete information about silver. Really is undervalued in many, many ways you look at it. And it's already on the move upwards. And with that, I do hope you enjoyed the show and that I was able to offer you some value. I appreciate your time, and I hope that was helpful. And I'm going to try running with this format a little more. I'll be doing more original material that I create myself, and I'm going to continue to curate the most interesting material from around the web and bring it to you as news, because it is the news. And with that, I do hope that you are in good health tonight. And if you're not, I hope you get better soon. And I'll be back very soon with a new episode of Psycho Silver. Probably tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow. I'll catch you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.